welcome to Word Meal for today. It's a great pleasure having you all here. How did our day go? I hope we all had a wonderful and a blessed day. You're welcome to today's Bible study. We'll be studying Genesis chapter 37. Let's say a prayer before we go into the reading. Our eternal Father in heaven, we are grateful unto you. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your tender mercies. We are grateful unto you for the gift of life. Thank you for this privilege to study your word tonight. We ask for your spirit to be present in our midst. Enlighten our minds, open our hearts, and help us to get the message you have for us tonight. And give us the grace even to put into practice what we'll learn. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Hi, good evening, and welcome. So I'll take the reading, Genesis chapter 37. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Yes, I did. I did. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his brethren, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams, and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked. And behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels, bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother, and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, The child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat, and killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or not. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. May the Lord bless his reading in Jesus' name. 1 second, please. Welcome to all who have joined the live. It's great to have you here. If you're joining us for the first time, this is Word Meal, a Bible study channel. Here we study the Holy Bible, and we get the message the Lord has for us in each chapter. We're currently studying the Old Testament, and we're in the book of Genesis. I hope you'll stay on with us even as we study God's Word. You're welcome. We just read Genesis chapter 37, and it's a very interesting chapter. In this chapter, we're told the story of Joseph. Okay, Joseph was the 11th son of Jacob. Okay, the 11th son of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons, and Joseph was number 11 before Benjamin, who was the last. And Joseph was the son of Rachel. Okay, the wife whom Jacob, his father, loved. And his mother Rachel had just two of them, Joseph and Benjamin. And we're told that when Joseph was 17 years old, now remember Joseph's mother had died, Rachel had died, okay? So he was motherless. His father was all he had. And when Joseph was 17 years old, he was feeding his father's animals with the children of Bilhah and Zilpah. And we're told that in verse 2 that Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. In other words, Joseph tattled. Okay, his brothers had done something, or were in the habit of doing something that was not too good while they were out in the field. And Joseph, okay, when he came back, he told his father. So I'm sure that made his brothers to dislike him. Okay. And then we're told in verse 3 that Israel, who was Jacob, loved Joseph more than all his children. We're told that it was because he was the son of his old age. But that I don't think that's true. It was because he was Rachel's son. Yes, he was the son of his old age because Rachel had been barren for many years before finally having Joseph. So Joseph was the first son that Rachel bore. And Jacob was old, really old, okay, before Rachel bore him. Okay. But it was not just because he was the son of his old age. It was because he was Rachel's son and also the son of his old age. Okay. And we're told that because his father loved him so much, he made him a coat of many colors. Okay, a coat of many colors. And we're told in verse 4 that when his brethren saw that their father loved Joseph more than the rest of them. So they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. One thing I want to say here is, as a parent, I've heard that as a parent, it's normal to love one child more than the rest. Okay. Or there are certain parents that love one child more than the rest. But please, as a parent, do not make your love or your special love for one child obvious. You can love them more than the rest in your heart if you must, but do not make it obvious. Some parents, like Jacob, make it obvious. Okay, they make it very obvious. They treat that child so specially. That child is like the prince of the house or the princess of the house. And sometimes the other children might begin to wonder, are we adopted? Are you sure we're the real children of this person? Because the treatment, the disparity in treatment is just glaring. Okay, and it is not right. It is not right. As a parent, even if you love one child more than the others, in Joseph's case, his love was deserving. He was deserving of that special love because he was a good child. He was a good child. Okay, but do not make it too obvious, please, so that you do not cause unnecessary problems for that child whom you love. Okay, because in doing so, you might end up bringing trouble for them. You might think, oh, I harbor hate for that child in their heart. And when humans hate, when humans envy, you can never tell what they are capable of. Okay, there are brothers who have killed their brothers. Sisters have killed sisters for this reason. Okay, families have become dysfunctional. Sometimes it's the siblings grow up and the others do not want to see that one. But it was because it was the fault of the parents. Okay, I pray that the Lord will help us. And we're told that when his brothers saw that his father loved him more, they hated him, and they could not speak peaceably unto him. They hated him, and their countenance toward him was not good. And even the way they spoke to him with hatred. Okay? And to make matters worse, we're told in verse 5 that Joseph dreamt. Okay, now Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren. And we're told that they hated him yet the more. They hated him yet the more. He dreamed. And what was the dream he dreamed? He dreamed that they were in the field. They were binding sheaves. And then his sheaf rose up and stood upright. And then the sheaves of his brothers bowed down, okay, and began to make obeisance to him. They bowed down to his own sheaf. So they were in the field, okay, binding sheaves. And then his own sheaf arose and stood upright. And then the sheaves of his brothers bowed down to his own sheaf. Now, this is the dream he had. And he told it to his brothers who already hated him. And we're told that when he told it to them, they hated him yet the more. Okay, so they hated him yet the more. They hated him. Now, we need to understand that not all dreams should be shared. Not all dreams should be shared. Okay, now in Joseph's case, it was a literal dream. Okay, it was a literal dream. In your case, it could be a metaphoric dream. Maybe your hope, your plans, okay, your dreams for the future. Not necessarily a literal dream, but not all dreams, whether literal or metaphorical, should be shared. We need to have wisdom to know what dreams to share and what dreams to keep to ourselves. Okay, We need to have wisdom to know what dreams to share and what dreams to keep to ourselves. Not all dreams should be shared. Now, I don't know, perhaps Joseph was naive. Perhaps he did not, he had no idea just how much his brothers hated him. And so he, innocently had this dream and he shared it. If I were the one, I will not share it. I'd keep it to myself. But he shared it. Okay. And we're told that their hatred for him increased. They hated him yet the more. And then say, his brethren said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? Because that's what the dream meant. Okay. That's what the dream meant. If they were in the field binding sheaves, if his sheaf stood upright and the sheaves of his brothers were bowing to his own sheaf, it meant that, he was going to rule over them. A time would come when they would bow down to him. He was going to have dominion over them. It brought more hatred. And besides, they were all older than him. They were all older than him. He was the 11th. He had just one person who he was older than. That was his brother Benjamin. His other brothers were older than him. Some way older than him. Okay. Say, and they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream. As if that was not enough. He had another dream. Okay? And he told it his brethren. He still told it to his brethren, to his brothers. Okay. He said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. So this time around, it was not just his brothers. Okay, in the first dream, it was his brothers, who it was his brothers' chiefs that made obeisance to him. But this time around, he said the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to him. So he told his brothers, and you can imagine how much more hatred, that stirred up in them. Okay. And then we're told that he first of all told it to his brothers. And then he told it to his father. Okay, we're told in verse 10, and he told it to his father and to his brethren. And what happened? And his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? You see, now his father, he told it to his father and his brothers, and the father rebuked him, scolded him, and said, what is this dream? I mean, as though he's the one who manufactured the dream, who caused himself to have the dream. So what is this dream? Are you saying that I and your mother and your brothers will bow down, will bow down ourselves to you? Now, one thing we need to understand is that sometimes even those who love us cannot handle hearing about our dreams. Sometimes even those who love us cannot handle hearing our dreams. Okay. Sometimes even those who love us genuinely, his father, if there was anyone who loved him, genuinely loved him to a fault, it was his father. But even his father scolded him. So what do you mean? Are you saying I'll bow down to you? Are you saying your mother? The mother he was referring to here was Leah. Okay, his first wife Leah, because Joseph's mother Rachel was dead. So Leah was basically the mother that Joseph had at the time. So are you saying that I, your mother Leah, and your brothers will bow down to you? Okay, now that was his father who loved him. So sometimes even those who love us cannot handle hearing our dreams because of what the dream implies. No one likes to be under. Everyone likes to be at the top. So, when people hear that I'll be under you. It doesn't always sit well with them, even if they love you. Okay, even if they love you. So we're told that in verse 11 says, and his brethren envied him. Envy set in. Before it was hatred, but now envy had set in. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. Okay. His brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. I want to say something. Never give in to envy. Never allow yourself to become a slave to envy. Fight. If there is one thing you should fight against with everything in you, it is envy. Never allow yourself to fall prey to envy. Envy is bad. In fact, envy, I always say this, envy can make you become wicked. Envy can make you do the things that you never imagined you could do. Never give in to envy. Never. Fight against it with everything in you. If you see that envy is creeping into your heart, fight. Use every ounce of strength. Okay, every ounce of energy. Okay, every ounce of energy you have to fight against envy. Never be envious of anyone, because envy can make you end up doing things that you never imagined you could do. Okay, I pray that the Lord will help us. As we read further, as we study further, we'll come to see what this envy resulted in. We're told that and his brothers envied him, and we'll come to see the end product of this, their envy. Okay? I pray that the Lord will help us. Now we're told that his brothers envied him, but his father observed the saying. Now I want to say that for those of us who are parents, and in fact those who will be parents, okay, those who are parents already, those who will be parents one day, you should pay attention to your children's dreams. Okay, pay attention to your children's dreams. It might give you an insight into their destiny. Pay attention to your children's dreams, especially their literal dreams. Your child wakes up from sleep one day and tells you, "Mom, this is the dream I had." Pay attention. Whether they're 5 years old, whether they're 10 years old, whether they're 17 years old, pay attention to their dreams. Okay, the dreams they share with you, pay attention to them. It might give you an insight into their destiny. Now we're told that his father observed the saying. That's Jacob now observed the saying. That might have given Jacob an insight into the destiny of his son Joseph. So Jacob would have known at this point that this boy is not an ordinary child. This boy is destined for greatness. So he observed the saying. Even though he scolded him at first, I guess perhaps he scolded him because his brothers were there, perhaps his mother was there too, and he had to, but he observed the saying. He pondered it in his heart. It gave him an insight into the destiny of that boy. Okay, pay attention. Now, Joseph was a dreamer, just like his father Jacob. Remember that Jacob himself was a dreamer. Okay, he was a dreamer. And Joseph inherited that gift of dreams from his father Jacob. Okay, so his dreams were prophetic. There are people who are dreamers. Okay, when they dream, that dream comes to pass. Okay, they are prophetic. Their dreams are not just ordinary dreams. Their dreams are prophetic. Okay, their dreams are prophetic. So when they dream, just know that dream will happen. Sometimes exactly the way this, sometimes they can see something happen exactly the way, okay, it happens, it ends up happening in real life. Sometimes it might be symbolic, okay, but their dreams are prophetic, their dreams are revelational. There are people like that, okay. They don't just dream random dreams, you know. They don't just, when they dream and they wake up and tell you, this is the dream I had, just know that it is either that dream is exposing something that was hidden, or that dream is giving an insight into what will happen in the future. Sometimes the near future, sometimes the far future. Okay, so their dreams are not ordinary. They have the gift of dreams. Okay, prophetic. Joseph was a prophetic dreamer. Okay, so we're told that his father observed the saying. Okay, and then his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Remember Shechem? Shechem, the place where their sister Dinah was raped. Okay, yes, that's Shechem. So they went there to feed their father's flock. Okay, and Jacob said to Joseph, he said that your brothers have gone to feed their flock. Okay, come, okay, and I will send you to them. Okay, and what did Joseph say? We're told in verse 13, Joseph said, here am I. So we can see that he was an obedient child, and perhaps that is one of the reasons why his father loved him so much. Joseph said, here am I. Okay, the Shechem might have been a far place, may not have been a place that was so close. Joseph did not say, oh, Dad, I'm too tired. I'm too tired. I'm sure they're fine. Why do I have to go? You know, and all of that. They're way older than me. They can take care of themselves. He said, here am I. He was so obedient. He was so meek. You know. And the father said, go to Shechem, check on your brothers, see if everything is okay with them, and come and tell me. Okay. So Joseph left the house, and then we're told in verse 15, say, and a certain, okay, we're told that he left the house where he left Hebron where they were, and he went to Shechem. Okay, and while he was at Shechem, a certain man, in verse 15, found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he told him, said, I'm looking for my brothers. Okay. Tell me, please tell me, do you know where they are? Do you know where they are? Do you know where they're feeding the flock? And the man said, in verse 17, say, and the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. Okay, and Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. Now I want to liken this to something. We're told that a certain man found, what he was wandering in the field at Shechem, and while he was wandering in the field, a certain man found him, okay, and asked him, what are you looking for? And he told the man he was looking for his brothers, and the man pointed him in the right direction. Okay, the man showed him the way. Now that is how it is, or it was, for some of us. Okay, when you, like Joseph, were wandering in the field of sin, a certain man, being Jesus Christ, okay, found you and showed you the way to happiness here on earth and salvation in the life to come. Okay, while you were wandering in the field of sin, a certain man, Jesus Christ, found you and he showed you the way. Okay, showed you the way to happiness here on earth and salvation in the life to come. If that man did not find you, you would still have been wandering in the field of sin. If a certain man did not find you, you would still have been wasting away in the field of sin. You would have been exhausted. You would have been tired. You would have been parched, without access to the living water, who is Jesus Christ. You would have been hungry without access to the bread of life, who is Jesus Christ. But while you were wandering in the wilderness of sin, we're told that a certain man found you and he pointed you in the right direction. And because of that, here you are. And for those who are still wandering in the wilderness of sin, I pray that that man, Jesus Christ, will find you. When he finds you, he will show you the way, and you will no longer be lost. In Jesus' name, amen. So the man told them, your brothers are in Dothan. I heard them say they were going to Dothan. Okay, so I think that's where they are. And Joseph went to Dothan and he found his brothers there. Okay, and we're told that while he was still afar off, okay, while he was still afar off, they could see him, he could see them, but he had not yet gotten to them. So while he was still afar off, we're told that they conspired against him to slay him. Okay, they conspired against him to kill him. Now this is what envy can do. This is what envy can do. Okay, that's why I said earlier that we must guard our hearts against envy. Okay, now you can imagine they conspired to kill their brother because they were envious of him. Okay, I pray that the Lord will deliver you from the conspiracies of the wicked. Okay, anybody, any group of people who have sat down, okay, who for one reason or the other, because they are envious of you, have conspired or are conspiring against you, I pray that the Lord will deliver you from their hands. Okay, I pray that the Lord will deliver you from their hands. And they said in verse 19, and they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Now, do we see that the problem was his dreams? Now, they could have put up with his father's love for him. I mean, that was not the first time that he was 17 at this time, and his father had always loved him right from the day they were born. Okay, right from the day they were born, his father had special love for him. So they had put up with it for 17 years. I don't think it was at this point that they were going to kill him because his father loved him, loved him best. But it was his dreams. They could not bear the thought that they would one day bow down to this boy. That was what they just could not let that happen. Okay, they just could not let that happen. See, and they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Okay, they said, come now therefore and let us slay him. Let us kill him and cast him into some pit. See, and will say, some evil beast hath devoured him. And we shall see what will become of his dreams. You see, say, let us kill him. He's coming. So when he arrives, we'll kill him. We'll go and tell our father that a wild animal had devoured him, had killed him, and we will see what will become of his dreams. So his dreams, that was the problem. Okay, there are people who are ready to do anything just to stop your dreams from manifesting. Anything. Okay. They are ready to do anything just to stop your dreams from manifesting. See, and we will see what will become of his dreams. Okay? And we'll see what will become of his dreams. And his eldest brother, Reuben, being the first son, he heard it, and Reuben was not comfortable with the idea of them killing him. Perhaps because he felt responsible for his life. I mean, if anything happened to him, of course, he was the first son. So if anything happened to him and they got home, he would be the one the father will hold responsible because he was the eldest, you know. And perhaps he also did not see any reason why, he should kill his younger brother. So Reuben said to his brother, say, let us not kill him, okay? Let us not kill him, but let us cast him into this pit, okay, that is in the wilderness, okay? Now, his plan was that when they put him into the pit, okay, he would come back later and take him out of the pit back to the father. So Reuben was not in support of their killing him at all. In fact, he planned to deliver him out of their hands and take him back safely to the father. Okay, he said, verse 22 said, and Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him. That his plan was that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. All right, treasure, have a great night. Okay, to deliver him back to his father again. I want to say something. Not all help are favorable to your destiny. Okay, not all help are favorable to your destiny. It was a good thing Reuben wanted to do. He was trying to help his brother. It was a wonderful thing. He didn't want his brother to be killed. He didn't want anything to happen to the brother. His plan was he would bring him out of the pit and take him back to his father. But we need to understand that not all help are favorable to your destiny. The good thing about Reuben's suggestion was that it removed the whole idea of killing Joseph. So that was taken off the table. Okay, killing him was taken off the table entirely. Okay, so at least he succeeded in preserving the life of Joseph. But his plan was to take him out of the pit back to the father. And that was not favorable to Joseph's destiny. Okay, if that had happened, then Joseph would not have fulfilled destiny. So not all help are favorable to your destiny. Good night, treasure. Have a lovely night's rest. Thank you for joining the live tonight. Okay? And we're told that in verse 23, we're told, and it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. You know, the coat of many colors his father had made for him. You know, they were envious of that coat too. And as soon as he arrived, they tore the coat off of him. You know, and for me, this is symbolic of his losing the covering of his family. You know, a cloth is a covering. So them stripping him of his clothing was symbolic of his losing the covering of his family. It was symbolic of the fact that he was about to be alone with no one, no family around him. So it was in literature it's referred to as a foreshadowing. Okay, a foreshadowing. It gives an insight into something that will happen in future. Okay, he was stripped of his covering. He was stripped of his clothing, his coat of many colors, symbolic of the fact that he was about to be alone. He was about to lose the covering of his family. And then they took him and they cast him into the pit. Okay, we are told that the pit was empty. There was no water in it. Thank God. The pit had to be empty so that he would not drown. Okay? The pit had to be empty so that he will not drown. Because if the pit had contained water, then he would have drowned. Perhaps he would have died. And he needed to be alive. Okay? He needed to be alive to fulfill destiny. Is that so? That's I guess that's a wonderful gift. Okay. He needed to be alive. So the pit was empty. Okay, had no water in it. And then he sat down to eat. Envy can make you wicked. They threw their brother, their younger brother, into a pit. Now these people were way older than him. Way older than him. And they threw their younger brother into a pit, and they sat comfortably to eat. Perhaps he may have been screaming, crying, begging them, pleading with them. And they